In my last Ender 5 upgrade video, I finished up the linear rails mod to the Ender 5. If you've seen that video, then you know at the end, I got to the point where all of the mod was working, and overall I was happy with the results, but they weren't as good as I was expecting. There was still some ringing in the models that I couldn't account for, at least not due to the rails, that there must be something else in the system that's still not working as optimally as it should be. What I determined, one of the things could be the vibration coming from the motors and that are getting transferred from the rails to the prints due to the fact that the rollers are no longer dampening some of that vibration. So one of the solutions I came up with was to upgrade to the new Creality 1.1.4 board, which has the smoother stepper drivers, the TMC 2208s. So in this video, I'm actually going to perform that upgrade. I've got this new board from Creality. I'm going to have to put the new firmware on here. I'm going to check to see if it has all of the features I'm looking for. Then I will physically perform the upgrade and we'll see, does it get rid of those extra artifacts I was seeing in the prints? And also, the big draw of this board, does it make the printer a lot quieter? So that's what I'm doing right here today on Kersey Fabrications. Let's go. So here we are. I'm at the computer and I'm going to basically try to go through this like a quote-unquote normal buyer of this product would. I'm not going to try to do anything fancy. I'm going to try to kind of follow the procedures. So first of all, if we go to the accessories section of the Creality website, which is creality3donline.com, then we can go to accessories and they have the Silent Mainboard. And here it is. Now when I purchased this, I think it was about $10 cheaper. It was like $39.99 because it was on sale. Your price may vary. Right now it's still sold out. You have to get these when they get them in stock. They seem to go fast. So I noticed the other day when I was here, they had the firmware right here on the page where you could download it. It seems like that they've taken that link down because it's not here anymore. It does have how we can find out, do we have the silent mainboard? We can check this resistor value here, and it should be 150 for the silent mainboard. We can check that. Anyway, so it's not here on this page, so let's see what else we can find. So if you go to support and firmware, here we go. Now we have Creality firmware download. And notice right here on the page, we have our Ender 5 firmware, thermal runaway protection enabled. It's right there. It says so in the file name. It is a 1.1.6 firmware. So let's click on that. It's got a hex file. I'm going to click download, direct download. And this is where I cut in to tell you, I cut out about 15 to 20 minutes of video here where I was going to show you all the steps I took, all the things I tried, 2 versions of Cura, Pronterface, and a lot of reading manuals and trying everything that was expected to get this hex file loaded. Ultimately, it didn't turn out, it didn't work, but I thought I'd save you the time while including all of the video here in the background while I sort of sum up what happened. Now, on with what I did next. Still no way of doing this. Let me show you. It was interesting because I checked YouTube. On YouTube I found this great Creality video that shows how to install this. Let's see where I can find the actual how to do this. Oh good, look, they've got this wonderful utility. What is this? They've actually got a USB ISP. So they're flashing the firmware directly to the board with an ISP. Huh. So still no good way to flash this using just your PC or just the software that comes with it. So if you don't have this ISP module or a similar ISP module, which you can get in different forms, it looks like you're out of luck. We're going to be back to installing firmware the way you would if it was just a bare board and needing a bootloader. So I'm going to look into this a little bit more And if not, I guess I'm going to be doing the ISP to flash it. Otherwise, it's no good to me. Back in a bit. So that is about the end of my attempts of trying to get the hex file installed directly on this board. It seems like, even according to one of the videos on the official Creality YouTube channel, that it looks like you have to have a flash utility. There's no modern utility to write these hex files that I can find using USB. So I think what we're going to do as a final resort, I'm going to test the claim that there's actually a bootloader on this board. So let's go ahead. We're going to go to the official Marlin website. Going to download the latest 119 zip file, which is right here. Download it here. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the detailed steps of getting your Arduino software set up, anything like that, because there are other channels that have done really good jobs on that. I will link to Tom Sanladerer's video here, which is a great video on the subject. That'll get you up and running. But for the purpose of what we're doing, let's go ahead. We're going to go and open the containing folder here. We're going to extract, and just extract here, which should create a folder, hopefully up here, which is Marlin here, this 11X. I'm actually going to rename that because I know it is 119. And from there, let's open up the Arduino software suite, which I apparently am not running already. There it is, Arduino IDE. All right. File open. And then I'm going to open that up. So under Marlin 119, Marlin, and there should be a file. It's going to have a little logo that makes it easy to load. I think it starts with an M for Marlin. There it is, Marlin INO. Say open. I actually just realized I skipped an important step in this because this is not going to load. This is not for this. So let's do this instead. Go back to our folder. Go to Marlin 119. All right, so we go to Marlin. There's some example configurations that come with Marlin. One of them under Creality. There's a 2, 3, 4. This is pretty close to a Creality 3, Ender 3. So I'm actually going to go in there. I'm going to copy all of this over to the Marlin directory, which will give us a starting point as far as something that'll actually load and run. Go back to our Arduino IDE. All right. And let's see, is this the right version? We'll go to configuration.h. We'll see if it opened the right version. Notice it is. This is Keith B. We're not going to change much. We're just going to change that to Ender 5 for now so that we know what we loaded. And I'm not going to change a whole lot here. The Ender 3 and Ender 5 have a lot of the same settings. Of course, a lot of these settings can be overridden by your slicer. And so the one thing actually I do want to change is just the height. I don't remember exactly what that's called, so I'm going to find it real quick. All right, so here it is, X bed size, Y bed size, Z max position. We're going to change that to 300 because we know we have 300 height. I'm going to leave everything else the way it is for now. I'm going to try to test this as is. So the real key here is I'm going to actually plug in my board. The OS recognizes it. Okay, we're going to make sure I have the correct board selected, which is the Sanguino, the AT Mega 1284 or 1284P, and then the port is COM7. Now, if everything goes to plan, this will load on the board. If it does not have a bootloader, this will not load on the board, and we will get a failure. So let's give it a shot. We're going to say upload. This is going to compile the sketch. Everything should be valid because we used an example configuration. All right, there we go. It says uploading. So hopefully, as it says uploading, we have a good board here. Okay, it says done uploading. So if everything went to plan, when I go to the serial monitor, I should see our new configuration pop up. And there we go. We are now running Marlin 1.1.9, and everything should be good. One thing I do want to change on here is this one shouldn't matter a whole lot, but under configuration.h, I'm going to do TMC 2208. Stepper drivers. So right now this is set for here. This shouldn't matter a whole lot because I don't think it actually does anything, but just to be thorough, I'm actually going to go X, Y, Z, and E0, and I'm going to change these A4988 just for completeness. I'm going to change those there. And I'm pretty sure this is going to have the thermal runaway protection. Thermal runaway protection is enabled for both hot ends and the bed. So let's upload this one more time. All right, done uploading again. Let's double check that everything looks good on our serial monitor. Same sort of thing, everything looks good here. And that means that this board should be ready to be installed in our printer. So let's go back to the printer and get this put in. I'll show you how to do it. So I switched over to the camera's microphone so you can better hear the printer, because I'm going to try to do a noise comparison between this old board and the new board. So to get a baseline, I have my sound meter on my phone, and we're going to listen to the printer, and I'm going to take a meter basically without any print going. Then I'll start the print and we will see what the noise level looks like. As you can see me talking on the monitor now. I'm going to be quiet for a minute just to get a reading. So as you can see, we're around 38 to 40 dB without a print running. So that's just the sound of the fan spinning on the printer. So now I'm going to start the print, and we're going to take a measure to see what our baseline noise level is printing. So here we are on the first layer. Let's take a look at what our meter tells us. So we're in the mid 40s here, it looks like. Maybe peaking as much as 50. Let's get to the second layer where we're going a little bit faster and see how that looks. And here we are on the second layer of the print. Let's take a look at sort of what noise level we're looking at. So about the same, mid 40s, maybe peaking up to 50 from time to time. It's just a bit louder than the fans alone. So I did want to show this during these fast moves. You get a lot of vibration and it peaks into the mid 50s because of the vibration. That's really what we're looking to get rid of with the mod, are those heavy vibrations due to the fast motions. So you can really pick those up on the meter. And it's really the sound of the whole frame shaking. So here we are at the bottom of the printer. I'm going to get the base unscrewed. We'll take a look at what we've got. We've done this before in other videos. So I'm actually not going to take a long time showing you how to do this. Other YouTubers have covered it, and I've covered pulling it apart and installing like the smoothers on this one. I don't think there's a huge need in walking through this step by step. I will give you a couple of pointers when working with something like this. First of all, take a picture of the board before you get going, and then you'll know where everything goes. Make sure when you pull this off, you don't rip it off, you just pull that out. And I'm probably actually going to move these over to the new board as I go. So let me get this changed over. That's it. Last connection is the LCD. Now we should be able to put everything back together. Put this fan back into the only open port. Make sure when you put these on, you get all these tucked up in here so that they don't run into the fan. All right, let's cut it on and see how it does. Our Ender logo, Marlin 119, and fortunately it says Ender 3. We're gonna have to fix the text on this one, but that's what we get for using Ender 3 firmware. So that's not important right now. Let's see if it moves correctly. I'm gonna back up. All right, let's see, let's do some basic motion. Let's put this in the center. I'm gonna move axis. Let's see if our X moves in the proper direction. There we go. So that's bigger, which is the way it always was. No, that's opposite of the way it was. There's the end stop. All right. Check the Y. We may have to invert these axes. Yep, so that's also bigger. But it is quiet. I'm not hearing any sounds from the motors. And then let's check Z. Z may actually be backwards too, and that would definitely be a problem. Yeah, Z's backwards. So here's what I would prefer to do on this printer. So before, this was our 0, back here. If we turn these end stops into max Z end stops instead of mins, we can actually leave it where it was and just tell it to home to max which would put 00 down here, which makes it easier to do time lapses and things like that. So I'm going to go make a firmware change, see if I can also fix the text on the screen, and I will be right back and we'll test it again. Right, back with new firmware. Let's see if I got it all. I even worked to replace the graphics here. Let's see if it works. There we go. Now it says under 5. So that's good. All right, so I believe I've got everything set up to where, again, this will be the maxes. So this will be 00, this will be your 220s. Everything in the Z still remains the same. So let's just move it this way and find out. It still falls, we have to fix that at some point. And I'm going to auto home. Alright, that all homes correctly. As you can hear, it does appear like the 22.8s are working as they're supposed to. There's no noise, even though this is just on my lapel mic. We'll get this homed, and then we'll do a test print with the monitor. There we go. So I am going to hook everything back up in terms of my Raspberry Pi, and I'm going to do that same test print that we were doing before with the Benchy. Alright, here we are back to what we saw before. This is just the fans, except when I'm talking, so it's just under 40 dB. Alright, we're going to start the print. It's definitely reversed. This used to print that priming line on the back, now it's printing it on the front. That's good. Definitely quieter. There's only possibly 2 or 3 dB difference on this first layer between, you know, not printing, but just the fans. And that's at most. I mean, there's really no sound here. So super upgrade over the old drivers. Alright, so here comes the second layer. This is with the cooling fan on. Still no major difference in sound at all. So at this point the fans are way louder in the actual printing. It only adds a decibel or two to the printing. So I'm going to let this print finish. We're going to take a look at the quality of the Benchy. If all goes well there, we're going to do one more test print to see if this mod got rid of the ringing that I was seeing in the previous video. Benchy's all done. Print looks pretty amazing. A little bit of stringing here on the back, but let me get to where these walls look really good. Not any sign of waviness. No waviness here on the cabin. Like I said, just a little bit of stringing. Other than that, I can see pretty much no flaws, even where I know there are some flaws here due to the slicing of this one. There's nothing else. So we have a little bit of seams that aren't hidden. But other than that, that's it. So let's go ahead with the curve that I was printing from that Iron Man helmet. And let's see if it has gotten rid of all of the waviness. So here we are with the final results of that last print. This is the new one, straight off the printer. I've just removed the brim off the print. If you notice, it looks really smooth. Compared to our last print, the waviness is definitely gone. So here's the previous print Here is the new one, and so the new stepper drivers did get rid of the vibrations that we were seeing through the print. Now here's the big comparison, which is if we compare the original one, this is the one I printed with the rollers, and this is the one with the rails. And to be honest, I don't know if I see much of a difference. There's still a little bit of ringing, but that's really not due to the rails or the rollers. You can still see the layers. This is printed at 0.12 layer height. Is one particularly smoother than the other? I don't really think so. All in all, I think it's pretty much a wash, really, between the two. Rails or rollers, I don't think there's a huge improvement. So let's wrap this one up. So with the mainboard upgrade complete, there are really two things to talk about. First, the mainboard itself. Well, the mainboard upgrade I think was a huge success. Beyond the initial difficulties I had trying to get a Ender 5 firmware on there, the board performed great. It was really quiet. Beyond the fans, you really can't hear anything anymore when it prints. It's just a mild hum. And the quality of the prints are definitely improved by getting rid of a lot of the vibration in the system. So I definitely recommend that, particularly since I was lucky enough to get a board that actually did have a bootloader pre-installed on it. It means I've got custom firmware, and I'm going to make sure that that custom firmware and those configuration files are released both on my file share, which I'll put in the description below, as well as I'm going to try to submit it upstream to Marlin so that they're available to everyone. Moving on to how the board relates to my linear rails mod. Well, ultimately it did actually fix the problem with my linear rails mod. It got rid of the vibration in the print that I was originally seeing in the last video. But ultimately the linear rails, are they a worthy upgrade? Well, to me, the real benefit that I can see in the linear rails mod at this point is that it gets rid of the dust and buildup that you get on the rollers. But I really don't see a huge improvement in the quality of the prints. So unfortunately, you're not going to get a lot of extra performance out of the machine, possibly at higher speeds. I still have to investigate that. But at the normal print speeds, I don't see a lot of improvement. So that about wraps up this video. I'm going to include a lot of links for you in the description. It's going to have the firmware. It's going to have links to Tom's video on how to actually get set up to flash your own Marlin firmware. I'll give you the links where I ordered this mainboard from, and the usual links on how you can support this channel. Thanks for watching. This has been Kersey Fabrications. Thanks.